Hey guys, I'm back with another FSD video. Well, this is about FSD. I ran a poll to see what people wanted to watch more than anything else. There were 98 people that voted, and the number one thing people want to see is Tesla FSD on Hardware 3 worth it? Now, when you get a new car, if you use a referral code, you get 3 months of full self-driving for free. Now that's a big deal. You can also go out and do a test drive of a brand new Tesla and experience FSD firsthand, and I highly recommend that. In my opinion, it is worth buying it if you're going on a longer road trip or if you're going somewhere that is unfamiliar to you. Now you can do this for $99 a month. Not everybody has $8,000 to shell out for this functionality, and I have mentioned in the past that the biggest life hack there is to buy a used Tesla that already has FSD. You can get a used Tesla, and most of them out there have Hardware 3, that includes FSD for around $20,000 to $21,000. Now that's here in the Midwest. I think that changes depending on what state you're living in, but the best app that I have come across to find those vehicles is called FSD Hunter. Now, I don't get anything out of mentioning this app to you, but you can go in and set these filters depending on which state you want to look in. Then you say which hardware you want to zoom in on. I always say just any hardware. You can specify price, miles, the year. You can specify even the color of the vehicle. Now, this is on the Model 3s. So if I say apply filter, you can see $20,888 for a starting price for Hardware 3. Model Y, you're looking at $25,500. Now, if you're watching this video, you either already have a Hardware 3 vehicle and you're contemplating putting FSD on it, or you're looking for a Hardware 3 vehicle with FSD. Either case, you're kind of living in the past. So if you're the type of person that always has to have the latest and the greatest, and you want to kind of future-proof your vehicle, you really want to be looking at AI4 or ideally waiting for AI5 to come out before you get a brand new Tesla that supports that. Some people are holding on to the statement that Elon Musk has made repeatedly about giving Hardware 3 owners a free hardware upgrade.
There is some chance that Hardware 3 does not achieve the safety level that allows for unsupervised FSD. There is some chance of that, and if that turns out to be the case, we will upgrade those who have bought Hardware 3 FSD for free.
However, we don't know the exact conditions for that, whether you have to be the original owner, for example. So if I were you, I wouldn't really count on a free upgrade. You kind of have to buy FSD, trusting that it will perform well enough for you as it stands today. However, there have been a lot of additional statements surrounding Hardware 3 in the subsequent earnings calls, and I'm going to roll those audio clips here.
We're going to have to upgrade people's Hardware 3 computer for those that have bought full self-driving, and that is the honest answer, and that's going to be painful and difficult, but we'll get it done.
I mean, what we want to do is we want to get unsupervised done on Hardware 4 first. Once it's done, then we will go back and look at what we need to do with the Hardware 3 cars. Yeah, we've not completely given up on Hardware 3, but we do want to solve autonomy first, and then we'll come back with a way to take care of these customers. These customers are very important. They were the early adapters. We will definitely take care of you guys.
Once the V14's release series is fully done, we are planning on working on a V14 Lite version for Hardware 3, probably expected in Q2 next year.
And this last statement from Ashok has me extremely excited because it means that FSD will finally be able to go in reverse on Hardware 3. I can't wait for that moment. And by then, it should be a much more polished and smoother version of V14. But again, it doesn't make a ton of sense to hold on to things that could happen 6 months later, so it's really important to evaluate how it performs today. Is it worth it today to get FSD on a Hardware 3 vehicle. And that is the point of this video. So I'm going to go through some sample drives and explain how I get a lot of utility out of it and how I believe very strongly that it definitely is worth it.
Before we get started, I wanted to mention really quick that I have a brand new rear display screen in my Model 3 in the back seat for my kids to be able to view movies and games while I'm driving, especially on long trips. This is especially convenient. I have a discount code on Hansshow Auto. You can check it out down below. There's a link in the description where you can get 20% off of all Hansshow accessories. Highly recommend this rear screen. It's the H86. It's the latest and greatest screen, and it's one cable to control also the front passenger seat. I am a big fan. It took less than 10 minutes to install this thing, and it really helps out for long trips, like I said. Very convenient and a lot of fun to use. Definitely check them out.
The first example is a typical drive in the suburbs. I'm taking my family to church. I simply talk to the car, telling it where I want to go, and then I turn it on. Navigate to the Orchard Barrington Church. Now, before I could turn it on, I did have to back out of my driveway manually. The start and finish of my drives is always a manual process. Sometimes at the end of a drive, it will get lucky. I would say 40% of the time, it will actually park itself in a parking lot. But the other 60%, it will just go straight to the front door or wherever it's closest to the pin on the map for that destination. Once I turn it on, I really don't need to do anything. So I just changed my display to day mode so that you can see things a little bit more clearly. But I am not touching the accelerator pedal. I'm not touching the brake pedal. I'm not touching the steering wheel. In fact, all I'm doing is looking forward. There is a camera inside of the car that checks to make sure that you are paying attention at all times. But you can eat, you can drink, you can do anything you want as long as you don't get distracted for too long. The only thing that you cannot do is use your phone. The camera is really good at detecting if you're using a mobile device. So definitely do not do that. Otherwise, it will time itself out. It will stop operating as you're driving. But the biggest advantage compared to autopilot are the intersections, like this intersection right here. Now, if there's a car in front of you, it's just basically going to follow that car. But if you're at the front of the line, it will stop at the light. Now, there are some cases where I do have to take over, such as this point right here. I come up to this intersection and there is an accident. You can see there's a car that's kind of slanted a little bit. And then what you can't see is the car in front of the car that's in front of me, which has its airbags completely coming out everywhere. And you'll see on the right side, a police vehicle pulls up. So they're fresh on the scene coming into this situation. There they are. Now, my right turn signal was on. And this is not a situation where you just want to experiment with full self-driving to let it do whatever it's going to do, because it can't quite handle these situations. You do have to take over in these unusual edge case situations today. Now, in the future, this may get resolved, but it may not do what you want it to do. For example, I'm pretty sure it would have tried to go down another road or done a U-turn or something that I wouldn't want it to do. So I did have to take over to kind of go on the opposite side of the road, which is very abnormal, and then I engage it here again. A lot of people are using autopilot, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's really not practical in a lot of cases, especially if you're used to using FSD. It's really hard to go back to using autopilot. Autopilot will not recognize or stop at stop signs or stop lights, and that's one of the biggest advantages of using FSD on city streets, is that it will not only stop at stop lights and stop signs, but it will also change lanes. It'll go around slower moving traffic. It will swerve to avoid objects in the road. It has a lot of intelligence built in to add extra safety. And it's really cool too. If you're kind of a geek like me and you enjoy kind of watching how the car reacts, I mean, this is the best application of real world AI that we have right now. And it's very impressive to see it firsthand while you're driving. So stop signs. If you're at a four-way stop, it will process and look. It follows the law. It waits for the person that's to the right to go first. It's very responsive and very accurate. Adjusting the speed. Every so often, you do have to adjust the speed down because it tends to go faster than you would like in a lot of cases. Here, I do have to disengage because I've arrived at the parking lot and I know exactly where I'm going. I have my parking spot that I like to park in, and it's far away from other people. My car is still like it was when I got it. It's like day one car for me. I've never been materialistic, but the technology and just the ride smoothness, the speed, the acceleration, the comfort, there's so many factors that bring me a lot of joy in life, and it also is comforting. It reduces my stress, and it improves my overall happiness, I would say. And here I do tell it to auto park. I typically will do this just because not only is it fun, but it's very effective and it works great. And I don't have to pay attention while it's backing into a spot. It's 50-50 whether I want to back in on any given day or go front forward. Just bear in mind that if you do get a Hardware 3 vehicle, it will always back into a spot using the auto park feature. And one advantage of having it auto park is that when you go to turn it on, like I just did right now, it 9 out of 10 times just takes off because it's already oriented in a forward moving position. Now, normally I would go straight here to get out of the parking lot, but you'll notice here it actually turns left. Part of using FSD is just letting go. Look at that car come out. It took caution, slowed down, abruptly kind of went around that vehicle. I really love moments like that where it just reacts super, super quickly. Now, it's not going to be as fast as version 14. So anybody that's looking at getting FSD on Hardware 3 has to be okay with having a little bit slower reaction time. But is it going to sacrifice your safety? Not necessarily. There are a number of times where FSD will swerve to avoid animals, whether it's a small little squirrel in the road. And by the way, it never used to do that before, but there are so many instances where it will avoid objects in the road, and it's just an extra level of safety. And that I can't emphasize enough. So how much is your safety worth? Now, I've done other videos on is it worth it to get FSD? This is the question you need to ask yourself. What is that worth to you from a comfort, from a satisfaction, from a peace of mind, and especially from a safety standpoint? You really need to ask yourself those questions. And then also, how long will you be keeping the car? Tesla has done transfers of FSD in the past, but that's never completely guaranteed. We don't know if that's going to be continued in the future, but you're going to see here in this drive that I'm not doing anything. It just changed lanes all on its own right there and changed right back again. It went around a slower moving car for almost no reason and then came back in this lane to turn left. But again, I'm not doing a single thing. I think I may have adjusted the speed maybe once during this drive. But for the most part, I mean, this is a 20-minute drive, and going there was 20 minutes. So we're almost at about an hour of driving, or shall I say riding, where I'm just totally enjoying this because I don't need to look over my shoulder to check my blind spot. I don't need to worry about other people doing stupid things. And that's golden, by the way. So let's go to another drive here. Here I am in Lakeview. It takes off, takes extra caution with cyclists just zooming right beside my vehicle here. This was a very fun drive, but it wasn't too eventful. And this has been a big challenge for me, is finding drives that are eventful enough to post on my channel, because most of these, as you'll see in the bottom left, I don't touch the wheel or the accelerator or the brake pedal. There are always some quirky things. And just as an example, I do have to change the waypoints multiple times. And normally if I'm actually driving somewhere in a city that I know or don't know, I'm not constantly changing the waypoints. It's mainly for me to document this software and to show you multiple destinations in a single trip. Look at that. See, humans do crazy stuff all the time. That guy was like backing out in the middle of the road, but FSD handled it so well there. And there was one moment in this drive where, and I'll slow it down and play it in real time, where there was a police vehicle that came. Actually, it was like an ambulance. And all the cars were pulling over to the right side of the road. And my car didn't take the cue at all. And it just like tried to go around the cars that were pulling over when I really should have been pulling over as well. It was quite comical to me because I knew right away that I should disengage, but instead I really weighed my options in the moment and gave everything the benefit of the doubt, and it turns out the ambulance turned the corner, so I got lucky. But the other drivers were probably like, hey dude, why are you cutting in front of us? It was a bit interesting. So I'll play it in real time, but I think you're going to get a kick out of that section. But going through these neighborhoods, some of these roads are one way, and that's another thing FSD handles really well. Now, you do need to pay attention. I'm not saying that you can just completely zone out. Some people have asked me, well, I know you can't use your cell phone while you're using FSD, but can you like cheat? And the answer is, if you have a mount on the top of your screen, you can put your phone up there and the camera doesn't detect that you're looking at your phone. So take that for what it is. I wouldn't take advantage of that because, here's the thing. When you're using FSD, you are driving the car. And I know that's hard to wrap your head around because it's called full self-driving, and a lot of people get upset with that kind of false marketing. But the terms and conditions are very clear, and it's a level 2 software right now. When Tesla does take liability, and they have their own insurance already, by the way, but once they take full liability, that's when things will get really interesting. Now, here's that spot where the sirens come, and you'll see they actually turn. Now, I should be getting over right now. You can see my right hand. I'm about to disengage, and then they turn the corner there. So I just cut past all of these people. And moments like this just kind of make me laugh a little bit inside. Of course, I was not too pleased with that situation. It really shouldn't have done that. Just know that that's a hardware 3 thing. Hardware 4 or AI 4 has input now with the microphone where it can hear those sirens, and I think it may actually visualize them as well, and it will react. I am seeing with version 14, however, sometimes it's reacting a little bit too much. Just back there, it hesitated at a 4-way stop because there was a stop sign that had a double face. And that is interesting sometimes when that happens, is it will basically stop twice. And there was an awkward intersection back there, but that was a situation where I did have to intervene and step on the accelerator because somebody was there. If nobody's around, usually I let it do that stuff that it shouldn't be doing. And again, a lot of it has to do with just letting go and trusting it. Not so much that you're trusting it, but you're just allowing it to learn, I guess, or kind of adapt to the environment. And it's more of kind of in my opinion, a geek aspect of myself. And this is another thing you have to be a little bit okay with, is the experimentation aspect. As long as you're okay with that, and as long as you're okay with accepting that you will be a safer driver, then this is definitely worth the money. Let me know what you guys thought down in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.